What's up, everybody, and today we're going to be taking a look at my custom Spider-Man Web of Shadows Marvel Legends figures. So, starting off with, I'll go over both figures at the same time, since they are pretty much the same figure. So, we will take a look at both of them. They are both using the same body mold because I felt like it worked out best for this specific Spider-Man. So I will go over probably the one with the most details, so we'll take a look at classic red and blue Spidey here. Now, he was kind of a pain in the ass, mainly because I used a knockoff, cel-shaded Walmart Spidey body. And usually sometimes with knockoffs, it's really not that big of a deal to, use those because they're cheap. I can just paint them up, and I was expecting it to be fine, but unfortunately not. Quality was definitely much lower than I anticipated. I mean, I expected already a low quality, but it was much lower than I anticipated, so there are pretty glaring problems with this particular Spidey, as opposed to the black suit one. So, the main bulk of those issues is, when I got the figure out of the box, I tried to twist the bicep joint, and it just sheared off. Same thing happened to the other one. So these biceps are just glued in, so they can't move anymore, which is unfortunate. And also, if I can show you right here, this is split. Now, I did glue it in, but then when I went to go pose him again, it split again. So every time you go to pose him, he splits. So kind of have to hold it in and then pose, which is a little bit of an annoyance, but I guess I got technically what I paid for. I could have gotten a I could have got like another official one, because I don't want to ruin the one that I have, my official one, because I really love that figure. So I technically could have gotten just another official one, and I probably would have been fine. But unfortunately, I'm poor, much like Peter Parker, so I tried to do it for as cheap as possible, and that didn't really go over too well. Yeah. Plus, I had to spend already more extra money on to get another Secret Wars Spider-Man to make the black suit. So there we go. But anyway, what I really did was basically repainted the logo on the front there to better match the Web of Shadows logo. And then I did a redo of the blue to kind of give it that metallic look like it does have in the actual game. So it kind of comes off with that metallic look that he had kind of in the game with the suit. I couldn't get the joints to be darkened or anything, because there really was not a lot of leeway for those joints. I tried to do it in the back here, and then it just all sheared off, so yeah, the joints are a little bit exposed, but for the most part, he came out pretty decently well. And then for the red sections, I just dirtied them up with a wash, just to give them that darker and more dingy tone. And I did the blue all the way throughout the body. And then the back, I redid the spider logo. It's a bit washed out because I used the wash and everything. But yeah, the spider logo on the back was redone and everything. And you can see some of the wash got a little bit too much back here, so it kind of covered up some of the sections of the webbing. This figure was just kind of not really easy. But then coming to the head here, I used the head from the Secret Wars Spider-Man, the squinted eye head for the new Secret Wars Spidey that just came out. And I just painted most of it black, and then just did this little bit of white there in the eye, so that way it would kind of simulate those eyes that the Web of Shadows Spider-Man does have. And I just, painted the head, coated it with a matte finish, tried to get the reds to match as best as I possibly could. Then I gave it a wash, and then, put on the, with a Sharpie, and then I sealed the Sharpie so that way it wouldn't rub off. And that's how I did pretty much the web lines. Messy in some areas, like here, got a little bit crowded, but everywhere else it's pretty much fine, honestly. And I'm actually kind of surprised that I was able to get the webs that perfect. I've never done webs as perfect as this before. And I think I honestly did a pretty good job as far as the webs are concerned. But yeah, so I wanted to try and get that accurate Web of Shadows look, because this Friday, this video will probably be put out on Sunday, but at the time of recording this, come Friday, I actually get Web of Shadows back in my hands, and I will be replaying that game because I absolutely love Web of Shadows. And if you're growing up in early 2000s, you guys probably remember this game. It is one of the coolest games, to ever exist. No wonder why it's $90 now. But that is pretty much it for the classic Spidey here. Now take a look at the black Spidey. A little bit of a different story. Definitely a lot easier of a figure to work with, and it is on a official Hasbro body too. This one was not easy at all to make, like at all. Because I will actually, if I grab it back here, I will show you the original one that I did, which was this. Yeah, this did not work out as planned. This comes off more of like Ultimate Spider-Man type of purple. Well, this one is more game accurate. But I did this one first. Excuse me, I was almost about to burp there. But I did this one first, and a lot of the paint just kept, chipping off everywhere. It just did not look right. It was too purple. I did good on the front logo, so I tried copying what I did with this one onto this one as far as the front logo is concerned. Got a little bit hard in some areas, and a little shaky, but I feel like it came out pretty decent. Yeah, so I tried to copy a little bit of what I did here onto there, but what I did not copy was definitely the back Spider logo. I did the back Spider logo a little bit different on here to try and make it a little bit better, because this one feels very broken up and a little bit too huge and very unproportional, and I did not really like it. But yeah, this was the kind of Mark 1, I guess, of this Black Spidey, because I was just experimenting with this type of like shaded look, or this like, metallic look, if you will, because I was trying to copy what the Marvel Legends Black Ultimate Spider-Man was, and I tried to get it to look like that in a sense, and I think I accomplished it mostly here, because now with it looking like this here, it's pretty much just dry brushed, so it's not that like flat out purple. It's just dry brush over the black, and if you look up close, you can see the black peeking through and everything. So it is all just dry brushed to give it that, nice metallic look that I was trying to go for, with, still giving it the black sections. A little heavy around the torso area, but I think it's pretty fine for the most part. Of course, around like the head and stuff like that, all the different amounts of dry brushing. I feel like this worked out pretty well, because all I really did was I just dry brushed the Secret Wars body with the purple and painted on the logos and whatnot. Made sure those go all the way around too as well. Did the same for the hands, and then just put the patches that he has on the hands, because the Secret Wars one had triangles, this one needed squares. And then as for the head, just simply dry brush the squinting head, and it came out pretty well. But that is pretty much the Black Spidey. Nothing too crazy, and honestly, I think it came out as perfect as it was going to be. Mainly due to the fact that I don't have an airbrush. I want to try and get one, and also I'm poor. So I think it came out pretty well. Now, as far as accessories go, it's pretty much just hands. Both Spideys do, of course, come with fists, and of course, a pair of wall-crawling hands. And lastly, the classic Spidey Thwippers. So, how well do these guys articulate? So, both the classic and the black suit figures here, they both are on the same body to be the same height and have the same articulation for the most part. And of course, you want to fall over. He always wants to fall over. The only difference being, of course, these are glued in because they wanted to shear off, and this torso likes to separate here at the waist. That's the only differences. So I will show the articulation with Black Spidey to give you the full experience, but just know that the articulation here is the same on this one. So as for the head can of course look down about that far, can look up about that far, full 360 at the head there with some very slight tilt. Arm can go up about that far, but at least on this one, I can show you though that on this one specifically, the arm can definitely go much higher for some reason. So this one can go much higher, but with this one, it can go up about that far. It has butterfly joints to go forward about that far, back pretty much about that far, and then of course there is, oh my god, he's so like stiff. This Secret Wars body is like just like a super stiff body for some reason. But there is a full 360 at the arm there. Bicep swivel, of course. Then double jointed pinless elbows, even though they're really stuck. If I can try and get there. There we go. Double jointed pinless elbows, like so. Hinge and swivel at the wrist, of course. And then just want to check, make sure the paint didn't chip. Should be fine. Diaphragm joint at the waist up top here. Go forward about that far. Back pretty much a decent bit. And then utilizing the bottom crunch there, you can crunch forward about that far. And going back, you can go back about that far. So he's pretty decently articulated at the torso there. Legs can pretty much split out about that far. They can kick forward about that far. Back, not so much. Thigh swivel. Double jointed pinless knees. Like that. He can pretty much kick his own butt. He does have a calf cut there. And then as for the feet, they can go up about that far. Down about that far. And they do have ankle pivot. So both him and the classic Spidey are pretty articulated, minus classic Spidey having a bit of bicep issues, which meant that it had to be glued in. I know there's other fixes that you can do with that, but for me, I was just, you know what, I was just fine with having glued in and just having a custom classic Spidey and called it done day. I know that's probably the laziest way of doing it, but, you know, I was just, at that point, I was just so mad that it was broken, I couldn't get a replacement, that I was like, you know what, fuck it. That's my first swear word of the video, if I haven't said one in the beginning yet. But yeah. Anyway, let's put him through a pose test.
You have it, don't you? You know what that does to you. You know how it can change you.
Venom? That thing gets controlled. Get ready for a world of pain. Gutting is still an option. Got me?
This city is going to be ours. You just wait and see.
When this is said and done, who will the people remember as their savior?
So I hope you guys enjoyed that little pose test. Now, it's time to talk about their scale. So, how well do these guys scale? They're pretty much the same height next to each other, even though one has a bootleg, technically. They're pretty much the same height next to each other, so I will bring in a few different comparisons. Of course, here is the real cel-shaded animated Spidey. And then here is the very real also, but customized to fit the animated aesthetic. There is the Secret Wars body mold, which was the figure that was the base for this. As you can see, both of them here. And I actually used the knockoff head of this retro animated Spidey for this more in-scale animated black costume Spider-Man. So there we have that. And for some reason, I don't know why there's glare here on my camera lens on my phone, so I might have to wipe my camera off after this, but there's both of them. So all four of these guys share the exact same body mold all throughout. So there they are. And then, of course, for some other, I guess I would consider game comparisons, here's the Ultimate Spider-Man figures here. As you can see, there they are. Just move my camera over a little bit. So there they are next to the Ultimate Spider-Man figures there. And these two share the same body, while these share the same bodies between the two. And I absolutely hate the fact that this one does not like standing at all. Neither of them like to really stand all that much. But there they are next to the Ultimate Spider-Man figures. And then, out of left field, here is the... These figures really, really, really like to piss me off. Okay. There we go. Now, here they are next to the Ultimate Venom, which Venom cannot get in frame because he is so big. There he is next to Ultimate Venom. And then, of course, for one last final one, here's the what body mold was this? Was this the Sunfire body mold? But this specific version of the animated Spider-Man that I felt looked nice, but just was not within scale. So there's that. And I was thinking about using this type of body for these customs, but then I realized it just would not work. It just really would not work. Scale would just be so strange. But anyway, that's it for the scale. Now let's go into the final thoughts. So as for the final thoughts on these figures, they were pretty fun to make for the most part. Unfortunately, it came with a lot of issues when making these figures. But I did really want to make some pretty decent looking Web of Shadows figures, because I doubt we'll ever really get any from that game. Unless they decide to, but I doubt it. My one big issue is mainly with the red and blue suit. It was so difficult to get that metallic sheen with the blue. It was really, really bad, and also using a knockoff figure probably wasn't the best decision, but it was probably like my only decision due to budget constraints, at least on my part. That came with its own fair share of issues, and it wasn't too hard to make, but it did have some complications when it came to the figure itself, and paint coverage and this and that. Some parts didn't exactly get covered that I wanted. But when it comes to the black suit, definitely the more easier one, even though I went through two figures just to try and make it. It's all about, what's the word? You learn as you go, I guess, with the purple shading. I got it right this time, and did the spider symbol right this time, and he looks pretty great, although his joints are just very stiff. It's very hard to move. So moving him is a little bit scary, because I don't want to scratch paint or chip it, but overall he looks really, really nice. And I only got the idea to do both of the versions because I wanted to do the black suit, and I was like, well, I can't do the black suit without the red suit, and then I could create a cool Insta photo for the red and black suit, which I will post. But yeah, I mean, this one was probably the more fun one to do, because I really do like purple, and it was just interesting to see how I was going to be able to actually do that purple coloring, because I wanted to try and base it off of the Ultimate Spider-Man figure, which had pretty much the perfect purple coloring that I would have needed, and I think I replicated somewhat of that idea quite beautifully well, or at least to the best of my ability. I had a decent time making these figures, and they look great. But that is pretty much it for the video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Follow my socials, the Insta and the TikTok for more action figure related posts and content. And I will see you guys in the next video.